And it was hard to not compare myself in that because a lot of it came from comparison. Of course, middle school is finding your whole identity.
Yeah.
And when I didn't have hair, that's where I put my identity. Oh, you're the girl who has really short hair who looks like a boy. Or, oh, you're the girl who, like, oh, for some reason doesn't have a lot of hair. Like, it just was a continuous fact.
Welcome to the Thriving in the Middle podcast. Believe it or not, I chose to spend the rest of my life in middle school. I've been teaching for over 19 years, and my primary goal can be boiled down into one task: developing human potential. My three favorite educational words are autonomy, agency, and authenticity. There is nothing more authentic than hearing about the realities of middle and high school life directly from the students who have lived through it. Whether you're a parent looking for perspective, a teacher trying to better understand your students, or a student looking for some guidance, this podcast has something for everyone. The goal is to not only help you survive, but thrive during this complicated time of life. Ready? Let's thrive together. Today we're joined by Georgia Coffey. Georgia is a current senior at GHS in the graduating class of 2025. I did not have the pleasure of having Georgia in class, correct?
Yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure, 5 years can go by. I had Emery for sure, but I did not have Georgia. But I did have her sister. And so Georgia is right now in the midst of thinking about what is next for life. And as she approaches her next chapter, and she's juggling a job, and I'm sure finals are right around the corner. And so it's crazy time of year that I appreciate you coming in to sit down and talk. Hi, Georgia.
Hello.
All right. So I'm going to start by getting into my podcast time machine, and I'm going to take you back to middle school. I always interview parents and ask them for kind of a highlights reel, and one of the things that your mom brought up was the fact that you had alopecia when you were in middle school. And so I'm just even reflecting on my own middle school self and how like self-aware, and I was constantly looking around. And so it's just it's a tough time as you're developing your identity to begin with. And then I'm thinking like, man, I can't even imagine what it's like when you're also juggling that. So I would love for you to just use this as an opportunity to kind of tell us a little bit about what alopecia is, and then kind of what your personal experience was and how that was like, what that was like as a middle schooler.
Yeah, it's crazy that my mom started with this question. I mean, it was a lot of my middle school. A lot of middle school was also COVID, as you know. And so I kind of got to hide it through COVID just because that's when my alopecia was the worst. I have alopecia areata, where your hair falls out in random places because your hair follicles get confused and want to go against your body and your immunity to like produce hair follicles.
So it's like an autoimmune?
Yeah, it's
situation?
an autoimmune disorder.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But it manifests itself in, for whatever reason, your hair follicle, and then it causes you to have hair falling out in chunks in those spots.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's really crazy to even think that this started in middle school. I'm thankfully now on a hair medication where I don't have to worry about that really anymore, and my hair has grown out so much. But like back then, I had to get a pixie cut to grow all my hair back because it was so brutal and so thin and gone and everything. And so, yeah.
So does that seem like a really long time ago, or is that still pretty fresh? Like, is that like, oh, that was a lifetime ago? You say that you mentioned it in conjunction with COVID, which I think is really interesting in terms of that was probably a moment of a little bit of relief for you as you were like, oh, good, I don't have to like, be in a classroom and be subjected to that. And COVID to me seems like a lifetime ago. And so I'm wondering, is it still like, wow, that was just yesterday, or does that seem like a long time ago for you?
It kind of seems like a long time ago. Like, Of course, I have these memories of things that I went through in classes where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so rude. Yeah. Like people would do things and I'm like, that was really questionable of you to do. But looking back on it, it did seem like a long time ago.
And then, but I'll take you back to that moment. It seems like a long time ago, but in the moment it had to be consuming.
Yeah, it definitely consumed a lot of my thoughts. Like I remember coming home and being like, okay, so what's the next step to make myself look normal compared to all these other girls who had a head full of hair? I mean, and it was hard to not compare myself in that because a lot of it came from comparison. Of course, middle school is finding your whole identity. Yeah. And When I didn't have hair, that's where I put my identity. Oh, you're the girl who has really short hair who looks like a boy. Or, oh, you're the girl who, like, oh, for some reason doesn't have a lot of hair. Like, it just was a continuous factor.
Yeah, and it's such a visual thing. Like, that, I think everybody has insecurities and they're battling things and they're like, oh, I hope people don't find whatever this thing is about me. But when you have something that's such a visual thing, there is no necessarily hiding that. Was there just outright meanness associated with it as well? Or was it more passive people who, because they're awkward middle schoolers, should have known better, but maybe didn't? Or do you feel like there was some just like people being mean?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty passive.
Yeah.
Like, I remember very vividly of this kid ripping my, like, I had a doctor's note to wear hats in class.
Yeah, sure.
Because my hair was gone. And I remember very vividly this guy pulling my hat off my head and, like, running with it and thinking it was funny. And I'm like, this isn't funny at all.
And it was probably a complete moment for him where he went on with his day. And then for you, it's not, it's this much bigger thing.
Yeah.
I can only I see that. I mean, I see that as a classroom teacher looking out of, I can just, because I also, as a grown adult now, I remember things in middle school that's like to this day, 30 years later, are still moments where I'm like, oh, it gets me fired up just even thinking about it, that people did intentionally. And so I see that as a middle school teacher of somebody doing something that they think is funny in that moment, and they go about their day and it can just wreck or crush that person. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good reflection for listeners about thinking through those small gestures or things that you might think are funny or think are inconsequential that are actually having a big impact on the receiver side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I mean, I see even more people who are just mean. That is a little more passive, but still has big implications. How common is it? Do you know the numbers at all? I don't either off the top of my head. I was just
no, I don't know the numbers, but looking back on it now that we're taking a step back into middle school, like, I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to go through alopecia in middle school, because honestly, it made me so much stronger and, like, prepared me in ways that I would never think for high school and all the high school years and all the things that we have to endure in that.
I'm just thinking of things that would be insecurities for others that now you're like, like whatever, right? Yeah. Like that's not, I was losing my hair in spaces. So this other thing isn't a big deal. And any advice, I know two other people who are coming behind you that are in Granville schools that have alopecia, and any advice for them or takeaways, things that thinking back, words of wisdom. And they wear hats all the time. And I'm sure if you know them, you know why, and it's no big deal, but I'm sure it's something that, they're consumed with and always thinking about. Like, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would just say everyone focuses on themselves. Like, they're never solely focused on you. And I think that that's a really big part, because I was just like, oh, what are people looking at the back of my head? And like, oh, do they see this bald spot that I have right here? And it's like, no, they care about themselves. Like, of course they'll pay attention to it and make fun of you for 1 second, but it's like, is it that big of a deal? It's you who has to live with it.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I think we can all, like, that's for everybody, not just, but specifically for people, or for the people listening that have something like that. But we all overthink how much people are thinking about us, and no one cares. Like, everybody's lost in their own head. That's for sure. That's good stuff. And then just a reflection for teachers and parents, and I think it can work for students too, but I love this perspective as a teacher and hearing it as a constant reminder that, man, my students are juggling a lot of things. And so when I think back of you sitting inside of a middle school classroom as I'm talking about figurative language or a thesis statement, it could be the farthest thing, and as it should be, because you're consumed with other things that are more important, that might, that are bothering you and that you're juggling and thinking about. And I think that's the other truth and reality for all people, is that not only are they not thinking about you, but they probably have something else blowing up in their life too. And so, walk into the room with confidence, because whatever the thing is that you're struggling with, everybody else, it might not be as visual, but everybody else is probably juggling something else too. That's good stuff. Cool. All right. Shifting gears a little bit. I know that you participate in Young Life, and I've never actually had an opportunity to talk about that on the podcast yet. And I was absolutely involved in Young Life when I was in high school. And so I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about it. Like, why did you choose to be a participant in that, and kind of what are the what are the cool things that it offers, or why should somebody maybe think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool. I feel like there wasn't a moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to be involved in this. But it slowly, like, trickled into my life and kind of absorbed it in an amazing, like, empowering way. That's how I met the Lord. And he's, like, my relationship with God is one of the most important things in my life. I would say it should be the most important thing in my life. And the Young Life kind of just helped stem that in a way. I got involved in Young Life my sophomore year, right after my car accident. And it was just a group
We'll come back to that in a minute.
yeah. It was just a group of people who just were nice to me, even through the hard times. But, yeah.
Cool. I like the idea that it wasn't an intentional thought. It was just something that you found and kind of explored, which I think is, for the next 4 or 5 years for listeners, that's the kinds of things you should be doing, is looking for things that maybe look appealing and then giving them a try, and then weeding out the things that maybe aren't right for you, and embracing and doubling down on the things that are. And so that's kind of how it found its way to you. Did you go to Young Life camp by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice.
Where was it at?
It was at Lake Champion one year and Rockbridge the other.
Do you know what state Lake Champion is in?
New York.
Okay. I think I'm trying to, it's so long ago. I went to Young Life camp as well. It was so much fun. They had a huge lake and a huge like zip line. Was that at either of yours? Okay. Both or one?
Both.
Okay. That's not a distinguishing. But it was such a blast. And I think you're right. It was people who were kind and nice and accepting and welcoming, and felt like a good space and good people to be around. Cool. So again, talking to your mom, she helped me prepare for the interview. She did mention that car accident that you just brought up a second ago. I've had too many bad car accidents, to be honest. And
How many?
It was a long time ago when I was really young and just started driving. And so I haven't had any car accidents in a long time. I had 2 really bad car accidents that I rolled the car, 2 of them, which one you think would be enough. And so I've had 2 bad car accidents, and then I had probably 2 or 3 other smaller accidents, and I'm not going to count those as accidents. But they were all within my like 16 to 18-year-old self. I was a little reckless back in the day. So I'm curious if you can talk to us about, what was your car accident like, and the experience, and maybe did it teach you anything? I would love to hear about it. Your mom said it was kind of a formative kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was on the way with 3 other friends to the Hartford Fair, as a high schooler does.
Yep.
And this pickup truck pulled out in front of me, and I hit his right bumper. I mean, it sucked because I got cited for it, and people from my school were driving past.
What was so did they say like you were speeding or didn't have assured clear distance, or why did?
Yeah, they said that I
because he got out in front of you enough, then it was your fault.
They said I was speeding, and I also had too many people in the car.
Oh, because at that age you're not supposed to have that many passengers, or? Well,
actually, they didn't say I was speeding, but they just cited me for not clear distance.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, but
I'm sure they were thinking. You unfortunately don't get the benefit of the doubt when you're a young driver. You know, you're kind of guilty when they show up, just because young drivers often make mistakes. And so you rear-ended them, and everyone was okay?
Yeah. Thankfully, everyone was okay. It was just more mental.
Any takeaway? Like what are the thoughts? Because it was just scary, or it was like, what was the mental things running through your brain?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thought that I had after the airbags went off, so
you hit it pretty hard. Like
yeah.
And airbags, just for listeners, if you aren't, I mean, that itself is a concussive experience. I mean, so they come out rapidly fast because they have to hit you before you hit the steering wheel or anything else. And then there's powder, and it could cause chemical burns, and like that itself is pretty intense. So sorry, go ahead.
No worries. I didn't know there was powder. Neither did anyone in the car. So we thought the car was smoking.
Gotcha.
We tumbled out of there, and it was just kind of a thing that I'm like, did this actually just happen? Yeah. Like, you only hear about it. It's not, it will happen to you. And so I just remember standing in front of my car in disbelief. I'm like, this did not just happen to me. Like, this only happens to people far off in the distance. But it was hard. It was rough for a few months, yeah.
And scary to get back behind the wheel?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I remember begging my mom to go to Target one day, and when we walk out of the store after we got whatever we got, she was like, "All right, you're driving home," and I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
I was so afraid.
But you did it? Did you do it?
Yes, because there was no other way we were gonna get home.
Yeah, right. And then now you're driving.
And now I'm a better driver than ever.
Yeah, because you think you're just more of a defensive driver, like
yes.
a little more cautious, and
I'm so much more defensive, and also I use my brain when I drive. Like I was a 16-year-old reckless driver, of course.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's a really great accident to have because everybody was okay, and sadly, like the reality is a lot of first-time drivers are going to have accidents, and so if it's an accident you can walk away from, then it's actually a pretty learning one. And like so many things in life, you almost have to have that accident to then reframe driving because you don't know what you don't know. Even though people will tell you, you have to like almost experience that thing. And then now, okay, I'm looking for these cars around me that might be pulling out. And you've heard that, and they told you about defensive driving in class, but it's just something different once you've actually had a car accident. And then anytime something's terrifying, the willingness to get back behind the wheel. And your parents knew that. That's why they were like, nope, you got to go, like get in there. And then after you do it, eventually it becomes a little more normal again. Yeah. And the more and more you'll get farther away from it, it'll be less and less scary. But it's actually a little gift packaged in a scary situation because you'll be a safer driver.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So same. I had my best friend in the passenger seat of a truck. I had my license for a month. This is bad. And we were just going to the mall. Same. Yeah. And it was just, it had nothing to do. So we were like, hey, let's go to the mall. And so going down a turn, like a country road, and it was an S curve. I was going way too fast, being a reckless driver. He actually looked over at me right beforehand and said, like, do you think we're going a little fast? And I looked over at him, classic horrible response. I said, don't worry, I'm a race car driver, because I literally drove race cars my entire life. And as soon as I said that, we went into that S curve and I hit gravel, and this truck spun around and it rolled 6 times, landed back on its wheels, and both of our upper bodies were out of the cab. The cab had like crushed down, and had to be pulled out on boards, and we were 100% fine, which is like amazing, miraculous. I was terrified. I'm sharing this hopefully our experiences will help other people maybe be a little more defensive. But I couldn't quite see him because the cab had crushed down, and so I could see his leg, right? And so I'm like banging on his leg, my buddy Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, are you okay? Ryan, talk to me. And he wasn't talking to me at that moment. Thank goodness he was okay. We both, of course, had concussions and glass in our eye, just from the windshield breaking. But yeah, terrifying. And I thought that I had, potentially hurt seriously or killed my best friend. And so definitely reshaped the way that I drove. I was terrified to get back in, but the literal next day, my dad took me out. He said, nope, like this isn't how it's going to be. You got to get back in the car. And so we did. We went for a drive, and I was like, oh, because I love cars. I mean, it's like my life. And so he's like, cars are not dangerous. It's the way you were driving it that was. And so he and I are still really good friends. And actually, funny story, his sister, his stepsister, actually, his stepdad, or his real dad, and his stepsister live in Granville, and I had her in class years later. What a small world, right? So I lived in Beaver Creek, like a couple hours away, and so I actually had his younger sister in class. It was funny.
Yeah, small world. I mean, I definitely said a lot of those same things while I was driving. I was like, oh, we're fine.
It's fine. We're having fun. It's such a free, fun experience that you get caught up in. The radio's on, and you're having fun with your friends. You're going to the fair. That's going to be fun. And you're not thinking about driving.
First time in full freedom.
Yep. And that's when bad things happen. So that's good advice. Pay attention. Be defensive. Look around. No one else is watching as much as you. Cool. All right. So next question. You are the oldest of 6 kids in your family, which means you have a lot of eyeballs from younger siblings watching the things that you're doing and listening to the things that you're saying. So I'm wondering if you can tell us what it's like to have that many brothers and sisters, and what advice you might offer our listeners who are an older sibling in doing that well. And not to say, I don't know, maybe you can even admit that maybe times you haven't been a great older sibling, because I can attest to that as well. So what's it like, and what advice do you have?
Yeah, I mean, my youngest sisters are 2 and 5. She just turned 5. I had to think about it. But So they're way younger than we are, the other three. And
is that fun? I mean, is that like,
Oh my
this
gosh.
just cute younger sibling, I can imagine. Like,
yeah, the house never stays quiet.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what it is at
Yeah.
my mom's house and my dad's house. So it's fun. They keep me young, even though I am young. Like there's experiences or there's times that I have where I'll walk into a grocery store and they're like, oh, how old? I'm like, this is not my kid.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, it took some time to get used to, for sure, but oh boy.
You're going to wear a shirt that says, this is my sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you get leaned on for a lot of responsibility? Like, are you taking them places and picking up, and are you helping out that way?
Yeah. I'm the driver from my mom's house. My mom lives in Worthington, so it's about 30 minutes. I drive all of my siblings almost every morning from that house. And so, yeah, I mean, there's nothing really fun to say about that, but it is what it is.
Are you aware at this point of like that they're watching you and kind of learning from you, or is that not really a thought and you're just kind of like, being you, like as an older sister?
Yeah, I think I've picked up on it over time, but it's never like, oh, they're watching me do this.
Yeah.
Like I've just noticed when I'm out of the house more, they're like, where's Georgia? And they ask my parents, and I'm like, they care where I am? Like, what's going on?
How about the college moment? And we'll get into like where you're going in that, but is that a thought for any of them that you're getting ready to go off to college, and what's that like?
Well, their first thoughts, my two sisters, are, we don't have to share a room anymore.
Of course. Priorities.
Yeah,
you can't blame them.
So that's a tense topic in the household, definitely.
Yeah, but they may miss sharing a room though too when they actually separate rooms. I could see it. My kids had separate rooms, and they would find themselves for a while back into the same room to sleep because it was like, where's that other person? You don't think that's gonna happen?
I mean, they'll have to get back into the same room when I'm home.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So you're not gonna lose it completely? You think you'll be able to claim it back? All right.
So my dad says right now.
Yeah. And so that was the first thought, but have they talked about like being sad, or has that at all come up?
Yeah, actually my brother made a TikTok the other day about me.
Aww.
And was like, oh, Georgia's leaving soon. And I was like, wow, this is really nice of you to do. I didn't even know that you could have this feeling about me leaving, but it's sweet. And then this morning, like, wow, I was sitting on the couch studying for a test that I had today.
Ooh, how'd that go?
Oh boy, AP Calc.
Oh boy, yeah, that sounds hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's the last test of the year, so it went as good as I can imagine.
Yeah. Do you envision? We're getting off topic, sorry, because this might come up later. But do you envision using calc in your like where you're headed, like with what your next steps might be?
I think in maybe. Okay. I don't think that I'll use it like in the workforce, but probably while I'm doing my studies.
Okay. So back to, you were saying you were studying for your test. And
yes, I was studying for my test, and my 2-year-old sister, Maggie, woke up, and she came and was like, Georgie, and came and sat next to me and snuggled me. So I'm definitely going to miss that when I'm away from college, and I don't think she will even understand because she's 2, almost 3. But when I'll come home, it will just mean so much more.
Yeah, it might be even harder for her because she won't understand why you're not there. You know what I mean? She'll be like, what's happening? Where are you going?
Yeah. She's used to seeing me on FaceTime, so I'm sure we'll FaceTime all the time.
Yeah, my sister and I, she was 8 years older, and we fought until she moved out. And then it was like, oh, wait, I miss you. And then, we had a much better relationship afterwards. I think the age gap. So I'm glad that you, for the most part, it sounds like get along pretty well with your siblings.
Yes, I would say so.
That's awesome. All right, so admitting here, my family has an addiction to carbs. We consume way more bread than we possibly should, and I'll use this moment to talk about the station getting rid of all their other breads except for sourdough. That was not a happy moment in my house when I had to tell my son that Chocopan was gone. Yeah,
me too.
They said that might come back. I don't know. I'm not counting on it, but so I see you at the station working. And so I think that's a part of a work release kind of situation through the high school. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about that, and then to hear a little bit about what it's like. Is this your first job?
No, no.
Okay, so maybe talk to us a little bit about that first, of what was your first job and how those compare, and kind of what it's like to have a boss, and what you've learned by having a job and working for someone.
Yeah, so my first job was at the Buxton Inn. I was a host and a housekeeper with one of my best friends. And that was really fun until it burned down.
Yeah.
And so then I was
It's
like,
back open now, the restaurant?
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So you worked there until that fire happened,
Yeah.
which wasn't it maybe a year? Is it
Yeah,
longer than that?
a
About
little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Did
so
you see any ghosts?
no.
Okay. There's rumored to be ghosts there, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you didn't see them.
No.
All right.
And then I headed over to Harvest to work, and I started there when it opened. And then soon after, like 6 months ago, I got a job at Station, and it's been fun.
And that was that a pretty easy, like, was that applying for a new job, or was that kind of just a transfer because they're both owned by the same person, right? Or did you have to like truly apply for
at
the station? Yeah.
I had to talk to the
From
manager.
Harvest. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's it like working and having a boss, and like, has that taught you anything? Is anything that maybe you, I guess, learned there that you wouldn't have picked up at school?
Yeah. A lot. Like, it definitely, going into this year, my major was mathematics, and after AP Calc, I was like, okay, I cannot do this. This is really hard.
Broke that dream.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then I switched over to business economics, hopefully with the dream of either opening my own restaurant or cafe,
Oh,
or
wow. So this was a transformative experience.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
1000%. Or
That's
like
awesome.
being in the restaurant.
Yeah.
I love the restaurant culture and everything to do with it, the social aspect. I love to work. I'm definitely a workaholic, but
What were you gonna do with mathematics as a major? Do you know? Because I'm just trying to, like, what would that have led you to eventually?
yeah. So I was thinking of being a teacher.
Okay, so you're gonna like use that to then eventually teach at some level.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, like, do you get to interact with Chris very much? Chris
Yeah.
Grader? Okay.
Yeah.
And does he know that that's an ambition of yours?
I don't know if he knows.
Okay.
Like the CEO knows though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've chatted with him about internships and whatnot in the
Yeah,
future.
that's what I was gonna, I feel like he's so good at that. Like, I feel like Chris would be really good at that, and letting you sort of flex that opportunity. So yeah, it was a total transformation then
Mhm.
of getting to see the inside of that, which I such an advocate of, and it's what I hope. So we were talking before start hitting the record button on this, that I'm having my middle school son, he's taking some classes and he's double advanced in some things. And I'm trying to open up some opportunity and some room in his schedule, because I want him to go get an internship. Like, I don't want him to just go make money somewhere. I actually would encourage, like, go do it for free, but you think you want to be an attorney? I want you at a law firm. I want you to see what that looks like from a day to day, because I think it shapes you. So you got to, prior to going and picking your major, sit inside of a business and see how it operates. And you're like, hey, I kind of really like that if you hadn't had that opportunity, who knows what your path and your major, how it could have been different. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
been amazing so far.
Yeah. Any idea what the restaurant's going to be?
Ooh, me and one of my best friends, Jackson Haller,
Yeah.
have talked about doing a cafe.
A cafe. So
So,
similar to Station?
Similar to
Yeah.
Station, yes.
Very cool.
We've talked about maybe even getting like into the management system of restaurants that we work at or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just brainstorming ideas.
Yeah, maybe you need to talk to Chris about, franchising out the Station in some other town somewhere that needs a
Yeah, wouldn't
cafe.
that be fun?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I had actually always wanted to kind of own my own restaurant as well. Have had a couple of ideas. One, it was going to be called Pickles and Chips, and I think Granville still needs a really good just deli. And we had Steamroller for a while, and then it went out of business because of COVID, and they couldn't get, it was hard to get people to work. And I'm from Miami, Ohio. Like, I went to Miami for school, and they have Bagel and Deli. Have you ever been to Miami?
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
so good. OU has a very similar deli. They're so good. So I had always wanted to do something like that, and I actually was like, and I like cars and bicycles. I could do a bike shop out the back and a bagel, sort of sandwich shop out the front. And now we have the bicycle cafe in town, which is a very similar idea, but I never
There you
did
go.
it, but I thought it would be cool
You can
too.
still live out that dream.
Maybe when I retire. That'll be my retirement dream. Open up a business. Cool. All right. I also learned that you spent a month volunteering at a camp, and I honestly don't know a whole lot outside of that, but I think it's really interesting. And now that I heard about Young Life Camp, I don't know if it's the same or maybe related, but maybe it's not. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what the camp was, and then what about it made you want to volunteer and spend a week of your time.
Yeah, so I took a month of my summer to volunteer at a camp.
It was a month.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an even bigger
Oh my gosh.
commitment.
It was the best time.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel like a month.
Yeah.
I went up to upstate New York, and it was a camp called Saranac.
How do you find this? Oh, it's a Young Life.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a Young Life camp.
Gotcha.
And a few of my friends from the Columbus area were going to volunteer up there as well.
Not Granville.
Zach Schilling.
Okay. So
he was the other Granville.
Okay, and then you had already known through Young Life other people in the Columbus area, or you had like met them that way?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I knew them and I met them. A lot of people were from Ohio, funny enough, wanting to go to New York.
Gotcha.
But it was the best time. I volunteered as a server. So I would serve all the kids food at camp, and it was electric. I mean, all the kids go crazy because I'm the one bringing them their meal every day, 3 times a day.
Is this, so I'm trying to think about, like, so you were in Young Life and you went to Young Life camp as a camper, and then now you're there as a counselor or as someone working, similar, like, ages, or was this for younger Young Life kids, or what was the?
It was similar ages.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's something called Work Crew, which is all high school kids that volunteer, and summer staff is college kids that volunteer.
Okay.
And so it's just volunteering for other kids to meet Jesus.
Gotcha.
So it was really cool to just see people meet Jesus, or see kids and people my age, and also just be able to, I don't even know. I was able to also help them benefit from Young Life Camp by meeting the Lord. Like, I was able to help in just a small little way.
And so you did you not, that summer, you didn't go as a camper then? You were there for a month as a worker?
Actually.
Or did you get to go for camp as well?
I went to go for camp as well.
Okay, so you got to do a week of that, and then you went and worked for a month somewhere else, or was it all one package?
So I went in June to Lake Champion, and then a month later I went to Saranac.
Cool.
Yep.
And I think I just hear this in that story of, like, when you find your purpose on the planet, it usually involves other people, and you're a part of something that then lends itself to an experience that helps other people. Like, that's a pretty great place to be and to live. And if you can find that even in your employment or out in the world, like, and I think you get that in food service. I mean, I think you completely I'm not trying to compare Jesus to the sourdough bread, even though I love the sourdough bread. But it's this idea that you're there, you're communal with other people, and you're providing food and an opportunity in a safe space that's comfortable, that people get to sit down and talk and build memories and have an experience. Like, if you do food and dining correctly, it's a little bit about the food, and then it's a lot about the experience and the opportunity and the memory, the birthday party, the celebration, the graduation, the thing that they're there to talk with this other human with. And so I think I could see why you like kind of both of those. I see a similarity.
It's crazy to even look back on it, because I'm doing it again this summer.
Oh, cool.
But back when I had my car accident, or even before in middle school, I would have never thought of myself as like a Jesus kid or something like that. So it's crazy how my life has just evolved in that way.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And when you put air quotes around a Jesus kid, but outside of that, it really is just about, when you think about what that means, it means being compassionate, caring about other people, showing empathy, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's who Jesus was. Right. So you just want to be more like him every day.
Forgiveness. Like, there's a lot of things wrapped up in what that, the air quote label might be, but a lot of it's like, I like being a good human and being a good human to other people. Cool.
Well, at least you can try.
Yeah, and that's all it is, I think, is it's every day is making an effort at being a good human. All right, so before you know it, you're going to be headed off to college. I don't know much about that process either, as far as for you, what that's looked like. And so I'd love to hear, like, what did applications look like? What were your thought processes? And have you landed somewhere? And what's that gonna look like for you?
Yeah, so last year I made a whole list of places that I wanted to go. The list was probably like 10. I actually only ended up applying for 2.
Where'd the 10 come from? Like, how do you even get that far?
Oh boy, I don't know. I just wanted to go all over the place. There were probably places like Florida, southern states, and then there was Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it was truly, I just didn't even know.
Had you been to any of those colleges in visits, or just the idea of them, or you've looked them up online, or what about them was appealing?
I looked them up online, and they seemed like popular colleges.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the oldest, so then again, I'm like leading my siblings, because my parents went to the same college.
Where'd they go?
They went to Indiana University.
Okay.
So they both
push to, did they like write it in on your list, or they were like, you can decide?
Actually, no.
Okay.
They were just like, you can decide.
Gotcha.
They both went out of state, but my mom was really pushing me to go in state, and my dad was really pushing me to go out of state. But I ended up in state because I'm like, why would I go so far if being at Ohio University meant that I felt far?
Yeah.
Like I felt far enough.
Yeah. Well, and the other reality of that is the tuition associated and this is good for listeners if you haven't started considering this yet, but usually out-of-state schools are going to have an out-of-state tuition fee that is substantial. If they want you, they might waive some of that, or they'll try to give you some tuition credit to get it back down to normal what an in-state college would cost, but you're going to pay quite a bit more. And when you're picking a college, whatever you spend on that degree, you have to think of like, what am I going to get on the backside, that return on investment, and how long will it take me to pay that back? And so in-state's actually a pretty good option financially speaking if you're happy with it.
Yeah. Thankfully, I felt like I wasn't too stressed and pushed to pick a college where it was definitely on the cheaper side. Like I had that freedom where I could be like going to a private school or going to a public school.
Yeah.
And that is such a blessing if you think about it, because a lot of kids, that's such a stressor. And I feel like money is just such a stressor in life. And I'm thankful that I don't really have to think about that because I work, because my parents work.
Yeah.
Because
well, and it's cool that you're thinking about that, but you don't have to think about that. Like I appreciate that it's a thought on your mind. And so, there's the gratitude side of it. Like you understand how blessed the situation is, like how lucky you are. But at the same time, it's not that the stress associated with having that opportunity isn't there. And so you said OU? Is that where you're headed?
Yes, that is. It's exciting stuff because I only applied to Ohio University and Miami University. And I got in.
They're kind of competitors with each other.
Yeah. And really, what pulled me, like I got into both and everything. So I was like, oh boy, where do I even
have to decide? Yeah.
I'm like, where do I want to go? And
you visited both of those places.
Yeah. I love Talking Hills.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I mean, if you like outside and hike, there's Houston Woods at Miami. I'm just gonna say that they do have a park there, but you can't match Hocking Hills and the hiking and stuff that exists there. What were the visits like? Did you kind of know when you walked into both campuses? You were like, did you know when you walked into OU versus your other visit that like, oh, this is the place, or was it still some contemplation? Like, was the visit everything? Or
yes, I was still having some contemplation.
Yeah. Was it sunny on both visits?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't even remember. I wanted to like Miami so bad.
Yeah, a couple of times on it's like, so my visits every time I would go to Miami's campus on a visit, and I went there a couple times. It was beautiful. It was like sunny. Like I was like, and everybody's outside. I was like, this is amazing. And then
that's how
a couple
they get
other places it was raining, and I'm like, oh, this place it rains here. I'm not going here. That's why I asked that question. Miami's great, but and they are very similar but very different. Like they have a little bit of a different vibe, but they also like, I think there's some like pretty commonalities between the two. Yeah. So what was it? Why OU? Like what was the final?
Oh boy. I mean, I don't know. I was definitely really prayerful about it. And after I went down to OU 3 times, I think I went down to Miami twice. And after I went down to OU for probably the 3rd time, I was like, I just felt like this was my place. I looked around and I could definitely see myself. At both places, but I felt like a calling towards OU.
Is it like when you say you could see yourself in the other people that are there? Like they seemed like, friendly and people I want to associate with? Was it the like, I see myself in this environment, like the setting, like what? Yeah. Or a little bit of all of that?
I would say a little bit of all of it. Like I went and got to see the Young Life people there, and I got to see like myself in the environment.
You get to continue that there? Like that'll be okay.
Let's hope so.
And then maybe potentially college, like come back as college counselors and in the future.
Yes.
I'm curious if you can explain like what I was prayerful about it. Like what if you were to pray about a decision like that, what would, like, I'm not thinking, are you looking for an answer back? Are you looking, is it a meditative moment of like, I just need to like think about these things, and then like you feel like it influences your decision? Like what's that look like for you? Like what does that mean?
Oh, that's a great question.
I don't know that I could answer that question as I ask it. So I think it's interesting. I find how people pray and whatever faith that you might have interesting. And so I'm wondering, like when you pray on something, are you looking for absolute or like a response, or are you just, I just need to like let go of this thing, or what's that like?
Like, I don't think it's a God being like, yes, you should go to OU.
Georgia, the answer.
Yeah.
It's not that. Right.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Far from it, actually.
Yeah.
But I felt like all the pieces were coming together. And that's only possible with, prayer and God doing his work. Like, he already knows what your life will be. And that's what I believe personally. And so with just him revealing that to me over time of, oh, I found a roommate that I'm going to room with. Oh, I found this group of community that I'll have down there, and just like all the pieces coming together.
So for you, praying upon it is almost in a way like it opened yourself up to then see these things that are opportunities that were then pieces that made the puzzle fit together for you. Cool. So when do you go? It'll be end of August?
Yeah.
Early August?
August 20th, around there.
And you have roommates already picked out?
Yeah. I have one roommate. Her name's Allie. She's the best.
Did you know her already?
No.
No. Okay.
Her and I met through Young Life. One of the girls down there connected us together because I'm like, who can I find a room with who follows God? Like, that's one of the only things that I was looking for, honestly.
Is there like, if you were to sign up, and I have no idea, and it's been a really long time since I've done this, but if you were to go to OU and you're looking for a roommate, is that like a criteria you could ask for, like in some portal somewhere, or no? I have no idea.
I did not use a portal.
Oh, is there something like, if you're looking for roommates, like does OU help facilitate that, or if you didn't have a roommate, they would just randomly, there's no like trying to match people up?
I can imagine.
Okay.
A lot of people use Instagram nowadays
to just try to find someone else that might be similar.
It's like you post like 10 photos of yourself, and then you're like, hi, my name's Georgia.
Got it.
I'm from Granville. These are my hobbies.
Is there some sort of tag you would put on that then people would find it? Like, how do they find your Instagram?
Yep. And then they send you a DM, and then they're like, hey girl, how's it going?
Man, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. I'm just thinking about, you're going to spend the next year with this person in close quarters. That's like a big ask.
Oh, it's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, and I think for listeners, that's an interesting, you don't have to have the person picked out. Like, you don't have to know. And I think that would be stressful for some people, but thinking of alternative ways of things that you're interested in to then sort of backdoor way find a roommate that way. If you're into, even if it's going to be a club basketball, and maybe you're not playing basketball for OU, but you love basketball, and thinking about how could I use that as a connection to make sure that I'm finding somebody that I don't know that I'm going to get along with.
I mean, it's great. Yeah. We text every day. Like, we send videos to each other, so it's fun getting to know her slowly but surely. That's
awesome. All right, cool. So we're going to move into the last set of questions here, and these are questions I ask every guest. They're geared and aimed at getting our middle school, high school listeners geared up and ready to be successful in the next 4 to 5 years of their life. The first one is, if you could go back and tell your middle school self anything that would have made navigating that time of your life a little bit easier, what would you go back and tell yourself?
Ooh, I didn't really look.
It's a big question.
Yeah. What would I tell myself when I was younger?
Like and specifically your middle school self. So, and obviously we've talked through some things that you were battling or dealing with or coming to terms with as a middle schooler. So what would you go back and tell yourself that you needed to hear, and maybe you heard it from other people, but it would have been good to hear it from yourself? Like, you could change the way you were thinking or reframe how you were looking at things.
Yeah. Well, I think that I would tell myself that it's all going to work out. Like, it will all come together. I felt like my life was kind of in scrambles with my hair and with COVID. I mean, I didn't have an older sister or even sibling. I had my mom and my dad, and I was like, psh, I don't need to listen to them. And so just telling myself, like, advice of, like, it will all be fine.
Yeah. Well, even with alopecia, I'm sure your parents were like, it's going to be fine. This is temper. But if they haven't had it.
Yeah. I'm like, who are you to talk?
Know, right? And rightfully so. Like, and again, they're well-intentioned, but like, it would be hard to listen to that and be like, okay, sure, you have to say that. You're my parents. You don't really know what this is like. But I think that's such great advice, that everything's temporary. Actually, everything is temporary in the grand scheme of things. But even, the things that you're going through and the stuff that is so consuming in the moment, it is going to be temporary. Like, there is another side to that. It's hard to think of that in the moment and get to it, but it's there, and you just have to live through whatever's happening. And you said this as well, like, you're forged by fire. Like, you're such a stronger, more resilient person that can deal with a lot of things because you lived through those years of your life. That it's hard. Same with the car crash. Like, there's a theme there, right? That these things that are hard in the moment really turn into these things that, make us who we are.
Oh, 1,000%.
It's good. Cool. All right. So what was one thing in middle school, high school that you didn't totally appreciate, but now that you're getting ready to exit, you can look back on it and go, you know what, that was actually pretty great?
Oh, I would have to say the study halls. Like, we didn't get any work done most of the time, but it was just so fun because you're put in a class with a bunch of people who you wouldn't expect yourself to be with. And it was so fun because it's just like a little cluster of different people, and you just would have the best time. I would have a blast every time I was in study hall.
Yeah, Bjorn Ludwig was on the podcast a while back, and he got done. Like, one of the things that his takeaway was, like, I sat in these study halls, and it wasn't until my senior year that I kind of just started talking to people. Like, I had kind of had my separations, and we stuck with the people that we associated with. And he's like, there were these awesome people that I had never talked to or never really got to know. And he's like, so that I wish I would have done that. In hindsight, I'd do that differently. I would talk to them. So I love that you're saying, like, yeah, I love that. There were these random people. I might not have talked to them otherwise. And I got to know something about them. And we're pack creatures. We are social. Yeah. And so I try to always remind myself of that as a teacher, that part of your job here really is to socialize, whether we like that or not. Of course, we're always like content focused for a lot of it, but that is a big part of what you're doing here and what you're going to do in college. And I think to be happy and successful as an adult, like that, keeping that relationship, socialization part of your life alive is key.
Yeah, especially because it's such a culture thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I went back to my freshman year, I'm like, Georgia, say hi to people in the hallways. Like, you don't have to just be quiet. You can say hi to people because you've known them since your elementary school years.
It's so funny to think about the fact that people think there's like different, like you're all from Granville. You literally have all grown up together. Like you played on a team probably with almost all these people at some point in your life. And remembering that it might be the only hello that they got that day. Or the hello that they heard, or that, they could be consuming something in their brain that they just needed a smile and a hello. It's huge. So that's good. Cool. All right. So stress is something that starts to increase. It says middle school, but I think it starts way earlier now. I think my kids definitely started to feel it in intermediate. They say like second grade, kindergarten is the new second grade.
Wow.
And then you look at what's happening with sports and travel teams and athletics, and a lot of them are all year round now, and you're trying to juggle all these things, and some of them are really cool opportunities, but they're a lot to wrangle and to manage. And so I'm wondering what you've found. How do you manage stress? Like, what is your go-to to try to deal with that when it gets heavy?
I feel like it's been a hard journey dealing with stress because I'm not sure. Like, definitely my freshman and sophomore year, it would just be sleeping or listening to music and cleaning my room or doing something like that, or just being on my phone, and I would just shut down. Now it's more like I'll go on a run or I'll go on a walk and like take some time to myself.
Do you think it was that the stress has gotten more intense and so you needed a more intense outlet, or do you think you've just found other ways that maybe work better? Like, do you think if you had done that as earlier on, that might have been a better way to deal with stress?
Oh yeah, like many times when I'm stressed, like in finals week or if there's a big test coming up, I'll go on a run at like 9 or 10 p.m. because I'm just like, I need to just clear my thoughts. And I feel like if I just sit in front of a screen trying to study homework, it's just so hard. Yeah,
the willingness to step away from that for a moment. It's my favorite thing about summer. So once summer hits, I go for at least a 2-hour walk every night. And so I wait till it gets dark, and I'll run, walk, whatever, but up around campus and go up the hills in the back. And I mean, I have the most, like, my best ideas, like these, I just feel like it clears your brain. And so, yeah, that movement and activity is huge and a great way to deal with stress for sure.
Wow, you probably go past my house then.
I think I go back. I mean, I walk, because for 2 hours, like, I walk the whole village and all up through, and people are probably like, what is this guy doing? And I'm like, I just love, it's quiet out. The deer are looking at you like, what are you doing here? It's pretty fantastic. All right, so technology, this is a loaded question, but I'm wondering what your relationship is with it. And you can talk about, we've got Chromebooks, we've got cell phones, we got social media. AI is this new pretty cool thing that is interesting but can be consuming. And so what's technology looked like for you as a student?
Oh, I feel like I use my phone, my AirPods, my Apple Watch, my computer all the time, daily.
Is it productive or a distraction, or it can be both? Like, is it more one than the other?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I feel like I am so ADHD, and so it can be really distracting. But if I have music in and I'm able to really focus in on things, then it's so helpful. It has definitely helped me with all of high school.
So how do you wrangle it to where it doesn't become a hindrance for your ADHD and it's more of a tool that you can use to be productive?
If my phone was right here and I was doing schoolwork, it needs to be over there.
Okay.
Like, it needs to be out of my reach.
Yeah.
Because I have no self-control with scrolling.
Do you, is your cell phone in your room when you go to sleep? Is that a...
Yes, it is, but I put it on my desk.
Okay. So it's still that out of reach kind of moment. It's not like directly beside you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful because I only started doing that a few months ago because I was like, I can't just fall asleep to me being on my phone every night and like putting my phone down and that's my last thought. Like, that sucks. And so just trying to not be as addicted as I should or like as I can. And so with that it comes, this week I'm not really on social media. I deleted all of social media this week because all of last week I spent all my time on it. And
was that a finals kind of thing? Like, I'm going to focus and double down, or was it just you needed a break personally?
I just need a break.
Okay.
I don't, like, as a senior, finals are coming around the corner and you're like, oh, I need to do really good. But at the same time, you're like, I'm so close to being done.
Well, I mean, at least this was my reality so many years ago. I mean, you're already in to OU, right? Like, the grades that are rolling in now don't really have an impact.
So.
I mean, you want to because you've worked hard and you've done all these things, but seeing it through to the finish. But there's a little less pressure now, right?
Yes.
I don't have the answer to this, but I like to ask it, and so I think those are good strategies of like being intentional about putting it somewhere else. And they have like the bricked, like all these devices to like lock your phone down,
like phone jail. Oh my gosh.
And I'm horrible at it, and I'm trying to fight. Like it's become this like reflex of when there's downtime, I grab my phone and I'll scroll on, and so deleting social media is it would be a fantastic way to combat that. Did you appreciate having a Chromebook as a student going through? Like, we were pretty early adopters of one-to-one, where every kid had a Chromebook, and as an educator, I think about you being competitive and having access and not going off to college and be able to navigate all the tools and the digital things that are going to exist. Did you appreciate having that? Would you rather have had some more paper pencil? Like, what was that?
I think I really liked the Chromebook. I didn't really have a problem with it. I know that I compare myself to New Albany, and I'm like, oh, New Albany has those iPads. I wish we had iPads, but
I can't imagine an iPad. I mean, I know because they'll put the keyboard on them, right?
Yeah.
So they can still type on an iPad. I don't know what I would do with it. Like, so this is a touch screen, and it actually mostly it just is. I'll go to point to something to someone to show them, and I like mess my page up. Like, I don't see a whole lot of. I don't know what I would do with a touch screen. Like, what would?
I don't know, man. I have a MacBook now, though, so
is
it's
it
really
a touchscreen?
No.
Okay.
And so it's really nice to have a MacBook, but I really loved my Chromebook. Like, I didn't really have a problem with it.
It was sufficient. It got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped it on the floor and it didn't break. Does it get better than that?
Barely burly. You can. Yeah, it's funny. I just had that conversation with a student who was like, "Oh, I wish we had iPads." And I was like, "I don't," but like, I don't know why, or I don't know what I would do with it, because I would just be plugging a keyboard in. We used to have those Microsoft Surface things, and they were like an iPad, but the Microsoft version. And it was, I don't know, I found it more annoying, I think, than I did anything else. But and then so how about AI? What's that looked like for you? Have you gone down that rabbit hole much, or is it?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm on AI like every day.
And when we say that, are you mostly on ChatGPT? Like, what's your go-to?
Yes, I would say ChatGPT and Snapchat AI has kind of gotten a hold of me as well.
What does it do? What's it offer? Is it like
so Snapchat
the
AI
is or
it's basically the same thing as chat, I would say.
Okay.
But Snapchat has like, if you upload a picture of something to ask for help, it makes you like charge after 3 times. And if you upload a picture on Snapchat, then it's like, oh, you can upload as many as you want. So like, for example,
so you're using it as like you would a interface of ChatGPT uploading an image, but Snap offers a similar interface. Okay.
Yeah, like for example, I'll finish up like I'll snap a picture of a AP Calc question and be like, did I do this right? And it's like yes or no. And
interesting. So I'm a generation removed from. I've never used Snap to communicate with anybody, and so I didn't know that there were uses outside of the person to person, and so it's actually functioning as a a search engine or a ChatGPT interface situation.
Yeah, it's super nice and also super dangerous because then you can find yourself cheating on like essays or even like different things like that. But everyone's still learning.
Yeah.
Like my ELA teacher was the one who showed me how to use chat last year.
Yeah.
And I've been using it ever since. It's been lovely.
I think it would be an atrocity not to start having the conversations here. Like it's a part of the world where you're headed, definitely in college. And I think this conversation is happening on every college campus too. Like, how do we approach this? And I don't think the answer is to try to lock things down. It's instead like, let's go full in and have a conversation about how do we use it equitably and how do we use it as a tool. And it's an efficiency for sure. Like it's super cool. But you also, as an educator, I'm like, I can use it well because I know the terminology, like within the framework of what I'm trying to interact with. And so how do you still build that out and convince, this is what I'm trying to recommend. How do I convince students coming through? Like, you still need to know all these things so that when you interact with it intelligently, you can prompt it in the right way. And then you can also filter through when it doesn't do a good job. And this is a funny example. And it was because we were moving really quick. And Hayes was like, oh, he did this beautiful magazine layout. It was through Canva. He's a drummer, loves rock and roll music. And so he said I was supposed to have a chart in there. It was one of the requirements. I was like, okay. Was there anything about like not being able to create the chart on ChatGPT, like anything rule-wise? And he was like, no, that's okay. I was like, well, and he has an iPad. Like, let's get onto ChatGPT. And so we asked it, and he said, I would like a chart of every Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee from like 1980 something to current, and with their pictures. And so I was like, that's cool. Like it'll be a timeline of the inductees. And it spit it out, and I was like, oh, awesome. Look at this. Like you should use that. That's great. And so he downloaded it, and he's like, oh, Dad, I don't think this is going to work. And I was like, why not? And so we started looking at the pictures that it associated. So the names were correct and the timelines were correct, but the picture they put above them, I don't know who they were, but it wasn't the rock and roll. It wasn't the person. Elvis Presley was an African-American man. I mean, there were just these, we were like, oh, okay. And so, he had to have the foundational knowledge because he loves music and knows who all these musicians are, to be able to interact with it and go like, oh, this is wrong. Like this isn't working correctly. Yeah. And to be able to ask, like he knew how to ask the right questions, and from 1980, he knew the framework within. So that's where I'm trying to talk to students about, like, you still have to be smart and know things in order to use it well. So that's the battle.
Well, it can also be fun. Like the other day I was talking to my coworkers about this movie, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember the name. I described the movie in chat, and there's the name.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'll use it. Like I feel like I'm a pretty creative person, and I like that muscle, but it's almost like having someone to banter with. And so we'll have a conversation, and then I don't even end up using its suggestions at all. But I had this like back and forth dialogue where I would question it, and it would affirm some of the things that I was thinking, and it gets me to a point that I wouldn't have gotten to had I not had that like person to spar with. And so I think there's all kinds of cool applications like that are neat, and why we need to have kids on it and using it. We're not going backwards. Like it's not going to disappear or go away.
Our culture is evolving. Yeah.
And it's no different. It's the same as like when just literal Google search came out, and they're like, oh, this is going to ruin, people. They're not going to know things. They're not going to look things up. And the internet and cell phones, calculators, like it's that same thing people have to get over. It's like, it's here. It's going to be cool. And now we got to reframe and figure out how we approach education and learning with it alongside it. Cool. Okay, so last question. Anything that you would recommend middle school, high schoolers start doing now so that when they get to where you're at in a few years, they're better prepared?
Ooh. In like in what standpoint?
Yeah, I think it could be things action steps, maybe like things they could do or could do differently, or just start doing or exploring or looking into, so that when they're a senior and they're, maybe they're picking colleges or majors, or they're just, and it could be, I don't know, scheduling, like snafus, things that you found, like things that they could start thinking about a few years ahead that you're like, oh, I wish I would have put a little more thought into that, so that they're in a better position. Yeah. Or maybe in the same position because you thought about them.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say put yourself out there. Like one of the things that I really wish I did this year and last year but it was far too late, was cheer. Like, I wish I could be a cheerleader. That would have been so fun for me. I love the social aspect. And
So you didn't do cheer at all?
no.
And
I did running.
okay.
Yep.
But you wish you would have.
Yeah. 1000%. And so just any thought that comes to your mind of, oh, you may be interested in this, try it out.
Yeah.
Do it.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, it's true.
You fail at it, you don't like it, you learned that it's not the thing, and so you can check the box. That's good advice for sure. Cool. Well, we did it. We reached the end. I thank you so much for taking some time out to talk to us. Good luck at OU, and I look forward to eating at your restaurant sometime here in the near future. I would flex that Chris Crater relationship and tell him you're looking for an internship for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. As always, thank you to my guests for taking time to sit down and share their experience with us. A shout out to Augie Husto for creating the original audio used in this episode. Another shout out to all my listeners. In a content-rich world, I am humbled by those who take the time to hear the reflection, introspection, and advice offered inside these recordings. I truly believe this podcast has made me a better teacher, father, and overall human being. I hope you find that to be true as well. Until next time, be kind, be grateful, be